It is holiday season in Deadlock, and we just got a massive balance patch that shakes up the item and hero meta in Deadlock in a big way. This patch is going to be the big update we'll play until the major update in January. So if you want to climb in the next month, this is the video for you. We're gonna go over the most broken items, what to avoid, and how to play with the new changes. Let's get right into it. If you're looking for a more advanced strategy like this and you want the biggest edge possible, check out the Deadlock Academy. Multiple weekly coaching sessions by top players, coach scrims, and a community of like-minded players to climb with. Try it out, the first month is completely free. Link in the description. What's up friends, let's get right into it. The thumbnail you saw when you clicked on this video is not actually clickbait. Cheat Death might actually have a use case now, and it might not be the worst item in the game anymore. But we'll get into that in a bit. We start with the basics, and we'll start with the items that really got a lot stronger in my opinion in this patch, and the items that got a lot weaker, and I'll explain to you all of that right now. We're gonna start off with, in my opinion, the strongest early game 800 item you can buy right now, which is extra health. Might seem really random, right? Didn't get buffed at all, nothing really changed. The investment system changed a bit, it gives you more health now early on, because it's now a flat amount and not percentage based. But why do I think extra health is so strong? Has to do with multiple factors that were in this patch, but also in the patch before, okay? So first off, if we're looking at all the items that used to give you health, all the orange and purple items in that category in the early game and mid game got nerfed, right, by 25, right? So there's just less health to go around if you're not investing in vitality. On the other hand, the vitality investment, if you haven't watched my last video, is insane now, okay? At base, if you get to 4.8k vitality early, you get 525 flat health for having vitality items, right? Now the drawback, you might think, is, well, if I buy a spirit or if I buy vitality items earlier, I'm gonna have less damage because I'm gonna have less spirit items and less gun items. But on the other hand, right, they also did nerf the early game power spike of spirit items, which was like the meta kinda for most characters in lane, right? Where you would rush 4.8k spirit and you would buy items like Surge of Power early on Mirage, or something like Rapid Recharge on characters like Talon, like Dynamo, right? Like these used to be the items that would give you that massive damage power spike in lane, and the items themselves got nerfed, but also the spirit investment tree got nerfed, right? So there's less of a reason to rush 4.8k spirit investment early. Now you can still do it. My point is, there's really way more choices now with what you can invest in lane, and I am gonna share a secret here that I think will become the meta in the next few weeks, and it starts with extra health. It is just a flat amount of HP. But if you remember, a few patches ago, they changed this healing trooper to give you healing when you kill it, right? And a big part of that healing is a percentage-based healing based on how much max HP you have, okay? So if you were to be low in lane and you kill a trooper, you would get an amount of HP, and at 100 health, right, I'm gaining like roughly 300 health back. Now I'm solo in lane, right? If I have a lane mate in lane, it's 50% of that, so it would be 150. Now I'll show you how much of a difference it makes if I just buy extra health and do the exact same thing. I'm gonna go up to the next healing trooper of the enemy, and I'm just gonna kill it around 100 health. Maybe a bit lower here. I'm about to die, Monka. But notice how I just gained 100 HP more while I have extra health. Which means on two people, it's roughly like around 25 to 50 HP more every single time you kill a healing creep in lane, which is every single wave, okay? So not only does this item give you flat HP that's gonna help you survive in lane, it's also gonna make it so your max HP pool is bigger, which makes the healing of the healing creep stronger. So this item works in two ways. It gives you more health, but it also gives you more regen. So it kind of functions like a budget extra regen, right? It kind of functions like an extra or a budget resto shot where you can sustain in lane just because you have more base HP. Buying this as the first item on a lot of characters makes trades like way more simple, right? Like right now, I'm on 800 on Warden and I have 1000 HP or almost 1100 HP. You can look at other characters that are even less base HP, something like a Wraith or like a Haze. We have 700 HP on base and we buy one item and suddenly we're almost at 1000 health on level 1, right? The first item we can buy, and we can buy this after the first wave, okay? So that's just gonna increase our HP pool by around 30% for just having that one item, and it's gonna make us sustain more, heal more in lane. Now, what I like to do on most of my characters is I like to combine this with healing right after, okay? So the idea of this build is to buy both extra health and then healing, right? And then just have a very high amount of sustain in lane, right? Like if you were to be low, you do the usual thing where you just chill for a wave, you know, hide and let the healing right do its job. Basically, you just can't die. But another reason we're buying these early is because of the next 2 items we're gonna buy, okay? And this, I think, works on most characters in the game. Battle Vest, Enchanter's Emblem, or another 1.6k item so we get to the 4.8k investment. So usually what I do on characters that shoot their gun a lot, I buy Battle Vest, because not only does Battle Vest give us resistance in lane, right? It makes us more survivable, it also adds damage and fire rate to our character, right? If you're gonna run a spirit character, like let's say a Pocket, you can go Enchanter's Emblem instead and just have more damage on your spirit abilities, okay? So I usually buy one or both of those, and then I go for whatever I need depending on the character I have. For example, if I want movement speed, which movement speed I get into in a bit, it's still a very good start. I go enduring speed and get to the 4.8k investment. Or if I'm like a really tanky character and the enemy has like a lot of gun damage, nothing wrong with running an early return fire. Or if I play a support character, I can go for something like Guardian Ward, right? There's a lot of choices here, and none of them are really bad. Healbane is also a great option if you're running something like 7, just to have really early anti-heal. Once I get to these like first items that I buy on Warden, it's this. At 4,800 investment, I'm at an effective 2,000 HP. Which is way higher than it used to be. I did the math on every single character. At 4.8k vitality investment, every single character in the game will have more HP than before. This becomes stronger the weaker or the lower HP your character has on base. So it's even stronger on stuff like Haze, like Mina, right? That have very low base HP pools. But once I have this in lane, I'm basically gonna be around double the effective HP compared to what I was on base. Not even double, actually even more, right? Because we started like 700, 800 on Warden, and suddenly we're at like almost 2k HP. Not only that, we will also have the resistances of Battle Vest, Enchanter's Emblem, if we buy both or one of them, okay? So that is the number one thing I want you to take out of this video. Early 4.8k vitality investment seems really broken as long as you add at least one vest. The way bullet and spirit resist work in this game, if you don't know, they're percentage based, right? So the more base HP you have, the stronger these items become because they apply on your complete HP pool. Because everyone has more HP, both of these items got a lot stronger passively, even though they didn't get touched in the patch notes at all. Enchanter's Emblem, Battle Vest, crazy items. On the other hand, items like Spirit Shielding and Weapon Shielding got a bit weaker, because yeah, they still give you base HP, which is still good, but they don't give you the resist on top, and if you do the math, you will be around an effective 2000 to 2500 HP on almost every hero, depending on the damage you take, right? So that is number one. Some of you may ask, but Metro, if I buy 4.8k vitality early, isn't that gonna slow me down in terms of damage? Am I not gonna do less damage? I won't be able to farm as fast if I'm on a carry character, right? Compared to if I were to buy Tesla Cannon or something. The answer is yes, but you have to understand, you have a really high effective HP pool, which will make trading a lot easier. Having double the HP against the enemy is gonna do more for you than having one time the HP, 100%, and doing like 40 or 50% more damage, right? Like the trade is gonna be in your favor most of the time because you just have such a high HP pool. So it's not only that this is a passive investment or like a defensive investment, it also will help you sustain and still do damage, right? Like you have to understand the thing about Battle Vest and Enchanters that make them so good is that they give you these active investment bonuses like weapon damage, fire rate, that you wouldn't really get from other green items in the early category, right? So you will do damage and you will be able to trade, and more importantly, you will be able to farm jungle camps and sinners while sustaining, right? You have healing right to sustain, just like farm creep camps a bit more efficiently, which brings me to my next point. Farming creep camps early is now a lot better, okay? They buffed creep camps by quite a lot. They buffed them by making their base health pool lower up until 15 minutes. So the time from 6 minutes when the first tier 2 spawn to 15 minutes, if your character is capable of farming jungle and you have an opportunity to farm jungle, it is really worth it farming jungle, okay? Especially because sinners and lane creeps also got nerfed, okay? That's not to say you should AFK farm on every character. Characters that want to fight early are still good early fighters, and if you want to roam on something like a Moore and Krill, like an Abrams, and get early kills, that's still really viable. In fact, might be even better. Keep in mind, jungle camps are better. Sinners are a bit worse, so it's a bit more worth to go into the jungle. Overall, Deathball is definitely a bit weaker. I think the main things that made Deathball a bit weaker in this patch is the fact that you get more kills or more money from kills if you're in a 1 or 2 person scenario, right? If you are in a solo 1v1 or a 2v1, you will gain more souls from a kill compared to before, which means invading jungle on something like a Mo and Krill, right? And having like one person with you and getting the kill on the enemy carry is infinitely more viable. Because it's also going to be that the enemy probably won't stack as 4-5, right? Like some people might still follow the old meta and do a lot of deathballing, but you can really get away with smaller skirmishes and get ahead that way. Okay, so that's point number 2. There was another hotfix patch that made some of the changes we had in the big balance patch, they reverted some of them and gave some buffs to other things. So first thing is wall jumps now don't take stamina anymore. Good change, to be honest. Like, it was kind of stupid that I did it in the first place. Not the biggest deal for us, but what is a big deal for us is that the stamina regeneration you get now is 25% faster. Which means items that give you stamina and use stamina with an effect got a lot stronger. We're talking about Kinetic Dash, we're talking about Arcane Surge, and we're talking about Stamina Mastery. Both Kinetic Dash and Arcane Surge, depending on the hero you play, give you benefits if you use the Jump Dash, right? And you will be able to use these items more often because you're just gonna have more stamina, right? More stamina regen. Stamina Mastery gives you more distance on your dashes, on your jumps, on your air dashes. And because you're gonna be able to use your stamina more, it just got buffed, okay? All 3 of these items were already kind of getting buffed with the last patch because they made the base movement items like enduring speed worse, right? But now with the stamina buff, these are insane items. I wanna say in the next few days, weeks, we'll see a lot of builds include more of these. They're just really, really strong right now. And in a lot of cases, they're stronger than the base movement speed items that you usually would buy, like enduring speed and like fleetfoot. Which brings me to those. Are movement items or items that give you move or sprint speed dead? No, I don't think so. You just gotta be more selective with when you buy them. So I have this idea that you either ignore them completely, go for something like Stamina Mastery and just use more stamina to get around, or you still double dip into them and you still end up buying both fleetfoot and enduring speed down the line. I thought this wasn't gonna be good, but what happens is because a lot of people ignore this movement speed completely, when you have both enduring speed and fleetfoot, you'll still be fast enough to close the gap on anyone and you will still be fast enough to get away from anyone, even more so than before. So we're kind of in a weird spot right now where movement speed is worse, but if you have movement speed and the enemy doesn't, you will have a big advantage, right? So this is gonna be a bit more of a, I don't want to say mind game, but there's going to be more counterplay potential to where if you see the enemy not buy a lot of movement speed items, you can just get them and you will get out and in of situations for free because you have that movement speed. Don't think of enduring speed and fleetfoot as that items. I think they're arguably even a bit better. The reason being is all the other items that give you movement speed that are higher investments, okay, we're talking about stuff like Burst Fire, Headshot Booster, are gonna be bought less. I think on the higher tiers, the investment you have to put in to get value out of these items is just too high. For example, if you look at Burst Fire, a big part of Burst Fire was that you could buy Burst Fire plus another movement item and then you could do the perma slide, right? Where you shoot and because you have high movement speed, you can perma slide. But as you can see, right now, I have Enduring and Burst Fire, and I activate Burst Fire, but I'm still not fast enough to even initiate a slide out of my base movement. Which means this entire effect of Burst Fire that gives me more slide distance is gonna be applied less. I think in general, Burst Fire is a really bad item now, I want to say. In a lot of cases, you're just not going to be able to use the slide properly. Like, yes, you can still initiate a fight with a dash, go in and use the Burst Fire to slide longer, but in a lot of situations, you sometimes don't want to dash right in at the start of the fight, or you don't want to dash in the middle of the fight, or you don't have the stamina to dash in the middle of the fight, which makes this item a lot weaker. And the same goes for, again, the other items I've mentioned that give you movement speed, like Heroic Aura, right? The stacking is diminishingly, so the value you used to get out of these items was that you could stack them so high that you would get perma movement speed, and it's just not worth it. Just having Enduring Speed or Fleetfoot or both is probably the better choice, okay? And you kind of ignore these items. Next point, in general, I feel like items, especially in the orange 3k category, got over-nerfed. A big effect of the items was that they either gave you movement speed or they gave you like something like extra health, which again also got nerfed, right? Headhunter actually got double nerfed, right? It gives you less health now at base and it gives you less movement speed. I want to say all these items, even Hollow Point Ward, right? Like all these items are a bit weaker, which brings me to the biggest winner in the patch, and it was already an amazing item and now it's like a top 3, if not the best item in the game, which is Toxic Bullets. Toxic Bullets never had these effects, right? It never gave you movement speed, it always got its value out of dealing damage over time. It got buffed like a few patches ago and it was already used on a lot of characters, but now this is like probably the best choice for 3k items if you can proc it at a decent manner. I've started using this in my Warden build and usually you would never see or very rarely see Wardens run. The effect is actually quite easy to proc, right? And because fights move slower, right? Because the enemy moves slower, you move slower, it's just easier to keep the Toxic Bullet effect procced on the enemy. And because there's more HP overall, suddenly Toxic Bullets is even better, right? There's so many small things that connect together that make items what they are right now, and Toxic Bullets is like by far the biggest winner in the patch, and I would only encourage you to try it out on a lot of characters that want to use their gun, okay? So Toxic Bullets is crazy. Which brings me to the other big change that recently got added in the hotfix patch, and it brings me to Cheat Death. Right now, if you are at the tier 2 Patreon, okay, so the final Patreon that you have to kill to win or the enemy has to kill for you to lose, as long as the defending team has one person in the pit, the Patreon takes 50% less damage, and as long as there's 2 or more of your team in the pit, the enemy team will do 0 damage. Your Patreon is going to be immune, which means we're in a stall meta. And I've already played a few games where you think you can win easily and you're up like 3 people and it's a 6v3 and you jump into the enemy pit, but the enemy permanently has multiple people in the pit, so you can never damage it. And for the defending team, once you get used to the game flow, it's actually quite easy to keep 2 people in the pit at all times, right? You have 2 people in, anyone that goes low is at danger of dying, goes back into the base, heals, and you just rotate people around. It's kind of like if you ever played Overwatch 2CP, where you can stall for a long time, which means items that allow you to stay alive in the pit, stay alive longer, also got better. That means if you are in a desperate situation and it's like the final push of the enemy and you have to defend and you have to make sure that you live, suddenly you can buy something like Cheat Death, right? You have that money, or let's say you're missing a bit of money, you sell one item, and usually that would be done with Refresher, right? Like a last hurrah by like a Lash player that buys Refresher just to have another ult, to have a chance to turn the fight around. You can do this now with items like Cheat Death or E-Shift, where you buy them at the very end of the game and you're trying to defend, and you can just stall in pit for so long, right? You can just sit in pit, be invulnerable for 4 seconds in E-Shift, and for even longer in Cheat Death, right? And then as soon as you're about to die, you get out. Even on Cheat Death, you can still do that. That allows the enemy team to stall for a really long time. During all that time, right, the enemy has no way to heal, and a lot of people don't know this, but the Patreon actually damages the attacking team. But because the tier 2 Patreon would die so fast before, that didn't really matter. Now, the longer you stall, the more you rotate in and out, as long as you don't lose too many people, it is a lot easier to defend, which means stalling items like Cheat Death got a lot better, okay? So that's another winner of the patch. I'm sure we're gonna see this being played and actually maybe saving a game, right? It's still gonna be a niche item, don't get me wrong, right? It's still a big investment for what it does. E-Shift is probably like the better option on a lot of characters, but you gotta keep that in mind, right? Like your goal, if you are gonna defend the Patreon, is to stall as long as possible. Which also means if you're on the attacking side, you now need to be really like smart about when you actually enter the final pit, right? Like if the enemy has ults up, you can't just like go in and shoot the Patreon and ignore the enemy, right? That's not a thing anymore. You need to clean up, so you need to have like ultimates to clean up, or you need to have a lot of damage to clean up fast so you can end the game, okay? So we'll see a lot more comebacks, I feel like. Which, really good change, honestly. Like, I like that they're experimenting. It might even turn out to be too strong, because once people get used to that stalling mechanic, it might turn out that, like, good teams will never lose the Patreon, right? So it's gonna be very interesting to see in the next few days. What does this mean for you? How should you play the game now, in lane, mid game, and late game to win more games? Again, as I mentioned earlier, in lane, I think these items that you see right here I'm gonna add a few more that are optional depending on your hero. Again, getting to 4.8k green investment with some of these items here that you see on the screen is gonna be crazy. Try it out and you will notice how much stronger you feel in lane. There will still be builds that will get early spirit investment or early gun investment, but once you get to this vitality investment, you really have a hard time dying, okay? So I do think there's going to be the meta, and I think on average it's going to be stronger than investing into 4.8k gun or spirit before. And then after lane, the map is a bit more open. The full death ball kind of strat where you start fighting at 10 minutes and you sit around as 5 and you have like 1 carry farming are kind of over. So depending on the role you play, I'll give you like a blueprint real quick for all of them, okay? If you're a carry, you probably still want to sit on the side lane. Let's say you're a Wraith, you're a 7, you're Infernus. You probably still want to keep one of the side lanes clear, but jungle on that side is also going to be a priority. Again, you can kill jungle faster on all those characters, right? So you shove out waves on the side lane and you farm jungle. You can still farm Sinners. They're still really good. Okay, they're still probably the best source of income in the game if you can get to them. But I think going out of your way to leave a lane to go into your own jungle to farm on the other side of the map because there's a few Sinners there is probably not worth it. Because again, like the jungle camps in combination with the lane is probably going to give you the same, if not more money, okay? So for carries, try to sit on side lanes, try to get farm up, and split push is still a viable or a way more viable option now because there's going to be more smaller skirmishes on the map, as I explained earlier, with like, you know, like 1 to 2 people fights being better, okay? So split pushing, more viable, sitting on side lanes, more viable. If you're playing a character that wants to fight early, like let's say Abrams, Monkrill, right? Like the characters that are really strong, like right after lane. You still can roam around, you can still look for big team fights, but there's nothing wrong with going into the enemy jungle with like a Monkrill +1 and finding the enemy carry, killing them, or stealing the enemy jungle, okay? Like try to have smaller engagements, and even on more supporty characters or characters that want to fight, you can go, if a jungle camp, a tier 2 camp is on the way, you can go there with a pocket and nuke it real quick, right? Like it dies, like jungle camps do die a lot faster. Overall, the action is going to be moving away from lanes a bit. Because again, lane creeps also give less money for everyone, right? So the entire death ball thing is going to be a bit weaker. So invading enemy jungle is a lot better. And then yeah, on supports, playstyle is still kind of the same, right? You show up wherever your team needs you. And obviously there's so many different characters and so many different playstyles, right? Like you can play Pocket as an early ganker, or you can play Mina as an early ganker, but you can also farm up, and that's like more of your gameplay choice. Last thing I want to talk about, Unstoppable is making kind of a comeback. The reason for that is shutting down the enemy with stuns is like the most viable way to kill them right now. Because again, like it's a slower meta where people take a bit longer in fights, as I described earlier. So if you are the hard carry and you feel like you're being focused a lot by the enemy, Unstoppable just got a lot better in that sense. Where once you have your core up and you're farming up and you feel like you're the target of a lot of the enemy stuns, buying Unstoppable is also a great option. And I think I mentioned this in my last video, but I'll mention it again. Do not buy Siphon bullets on any character in the game. This item got nerfed by 50%. It does 33% less damage to the enemy. It does 33% less healing to you. I was thinking about scenarios, like niche scenarios, where you still want to buy this. I really think the values of this item are so bad that it's like almost the worst item in the game now. I'm not even over-exaggerating. I love Siphon, but in its current state, I don't think it's buyable. If you need more healing, buy Infuser or Vampiric Burst or Leech, right? And if you need more damage, there is just better options, right? In both the orange and the spirit category. I think that covered everything I wanted to cover. That was actually quite a long yap. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Let me know what you think about the 4.8k Vitality investment. Try it out, right? Especially on squishy characters, this is crazy, okay? Might not be the best play on something like Abrams or Shiv that already have a high base HP pool. Also means other items in the Vitality category, again, are stronger for everyone that is not a tank, right? Like investing a lot will give you more HP on squishy characters because it's like a flat amount, but it will give you less HP later down the line on very tanky characters because there's no percentage base, okay? So resistances, spirit resilience, bullet resilience, and just having late game options like Spellbreaker. Okay, that's about it. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.